Good morning. Christmas starts early in the crafting world, as you know, especially if you're planning on making a lot of items. Perhaps you're doing them for a Christmas fair, for a church fair, school fair, anything like that, or you've got lots of family members that you'd like to make lots of little gifts for. Well, I'm starting now. It may be June, but I think it's time to start looking at some of those Christmas ideas. Now, as you know, I love to cover chocolate, and as you can see, here is my little Ferrero Rocher. And here is a little elf hat to cover it. Now this could be made great to hang on the tree because the chocolate doesn't fall out. So you can put a little hanger on it and hang them on the tree as gifts, or just pass them over as a little gift. I think they're quite sweet. I'm quite pleased with this one. And it is so easy to do. Very simple. I am using a 4-ply yarn though. Which is not a yarn everybody uses. But I think when you're doing a Ferrero Rocher, you need to use a finer yarn because it is a smaller object. I am also using a 3mm crochet hook. I have my normal needles. I have a little bell. You can see I had a little red bell on here. I think I need to buy some more of these red bells because I think the red sort of shines up nicely. But I've only got gold ones left. That's why I've got a gold one out there. I have a little Christmas tree stitch marker. Why not? We'll go for the full Christmas theme. And obviously my scissors and things like that. So we'll move those to one side because we don't need any of those. We will leave our little elf hat sat there. Can you see it? Yeah, you can just see it there. We don't need the stitch marker at the moment. You might find you don't need a stitch marker at all. If you've got a bit of peace and quiet for your actual work, you may not need it, but you know what it's like sometimes, you know, life distracts. So we're going to start with the green first. Now, my particular 4-ply green, I've gone for this sort of slightly lighter one so you could see it easier. It is actually a wool-based one, this one, so it does sort of catch a little bit. The other one's an acrylic. I would have preferred, but I haven't got an acrylic in this colour in 4-ply, so that's why I've had to use this one. So we're going to start, as always, with our slip knot. Ta-da! Onto the hook, not too tight. We need a bit of movement there. And we're going to start with our 2 chain, because this is amigurumi style. So you are following the system. It is a spiral system, so there's no stop starting unless you change the colour of your yarn, which is at the bottom, but at the moment it's not. So into this first chain here, we're going to do 6 double crochets. Remember, I'm using UK terms, so in case you need a conversion chart, maybe pop on Google and see if you can find one. There's loads out there. So into this first one, we're going to do 6 double crochets. So I grab my yarn through, 2 on the hook, pull through both. That is a double crochet. So we go in, pull through 2. That's our second one. This is number 3, number 4, number 5, and the last one, number 6. So we now have 6 double crochets there. We're going to do a little bit of an increase next because it is easier. You could work on the 6, but it gets quite hard when you've got to work on sort of a small amount. So we're going to increase by 3 stitches to give us 9. So it's going to be 2 double crochets in the first one, 1 double crochet in the second one. And you're going to do that 3 times in total to give us a 3 increase. So we'll find our first one, which is here. First one's always hard to get into. Right, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets. So that's 1 into it, and that's 2 into it. Or not, because I just dropped it. That's 2 into it now. Right, the next one is just going to be 1 double crochet. So that's our first set done. Second set, we do 2 double crochet in this one. 1 double crochet in the next one. That's 2 sets done. 1 more time. So 2 in this one. And 1 in the next one. So we now should have 9 stitches. I'm just going to tighten up that original one. It will start to sort of curve itself up, so every now and again you have to do it, sort of push it to right side facing. We're now going to do 3 rounds of those 9. So again, if you wish to pop a stitch marker in or a piece of thread, because it's quite small at this point, please do. But I'm just going to count 9 stitches and we're going to do that 3 times. So that will give us our numbers. So our first round, 1 double crochet in each one. So we've got 9 of them. So we've got 1, That's caught. You have to be careful. It's anything with this wool, it catches a little bit. So that's 2, 3, 4. Make sure you're catching both bits. 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that's our first round. Hopefully you've got a pen and paper, unlike me being disorganized as always. So I'm just going to mark it off with my pair of scissors over there. That is our first round. We have another round. Can you see it starting to curl? So I just pop it off my finger and just push it round like that, and then I can see my stitches a little bit better. So another 9, which is our another round. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that's our second of those 3 rounds. It's still trying to turn itself out, so I do like to sort of just push it. It just makes it a little bit easier, that's all. You may not need to do that. We have one more round of 9 stitches, so off we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, keep missing it, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we're now due for another increase, because obviously it has to get slightly bigger bit by bit to go over our chocolate. So our next one is going to only be an increase of 3 again. It's going to be 2 in the first stitch and then 1 in the following 2, and that will be times 3. So we have 2 in this first one, yeah, and then we have a 1 and a 1. That's our first set. We're going to repeat that through. We have 2 in the first one, and then we have a 1 and we have a 1. That's our second set completed. One more set. 2 in the first one, and then a 1 and a 1. So we've increased a little bit at this point. We now have 12 stitches, and we're going to go back to what we did before. We're going to do 3 rounds of those 12 stitches. So I am going to use my stitch marker now. Because I'm talking, it's not so easy to sort of keep count. It's easy to lose count. So I'm just going to slide my little Christmas tree stitch marker in there, and we're going to do 3 rounds of 12. So this is the first one. Because I've got a stitch marker now, I'm not going to count those 12. I say if you've got a bit of peace and quiet, it is best to count, but that doesn't always happen. So off we go. I'm just going to go stitch marker to stitch marker, and we're going to do 3 rounds like that, or not. It's hairy, this wool, as well. I don't know whether you can sort of see. Every now and again you get quite a hairy area, and it is just the yarn. It's just how it is because it's a pure wool, but it does get a little bit irritating on my hands. But it is a very pretty colour, so I'm going to go with it. I need to use it for something, so I think this is perfect. I might make a few of these for the Christmas tree myself. I think they would look quite nice on the tree. Though the chocolates aren't going to last long as soon as the grandchildren come round. Although I'm going to have to find something different, because the eldest grandchild, my granddaughter, loves Ferrero Rocher, but the other one's a little bit little really to be having the nuts and that. So I'm going to have to find something else. I think you could probably, the lint balls that you get might fit. The only thing is they've got the wrappers a bit weird, so you'd have to fold the wrapper. But there are different types of sort of Christmassy chocolates. Well, they don't have to be Christmassy, do they? But you can get different chocolates. So I'm going to have a rummage. That was round 1 of 12. This is round 2 of 12 of the 12 stitches. So just 1 double crochet into each stitch. So the beauty of the stitch marker is I can talk without having to try and count. Because I get, oh, you'll know yourself, you get easily distracted while you're counting, and then you're, oh, where am I? So that was my second round of the 12 stitches. Now I wanted 3, so we've got one more round of the 12 stitches, okay? I think I caught that. There we go. Sometimes watch for this, because sometimes it does catch. Sometimes it's worth tucking it in to get it out of the way. There's not much to tuck in at the moment, is there? So my third round of just 12 stitches. Off we go. I'm going to be doing some other Ferrero Rocher covers, so there will be a selection up to Christmas, but I thought, like I say, I'd start now, because I do know, I say, as a crafter myself, if you don't start early, before you know it, you're like, oh, I've only got a couple of weeks left, and you don't get it done, or you're having to rush like mad. So that was my third round of the 12, and you can see it is starting to sort of cone shape a little bit. We are now going to be doing another increase, and it's again in the same vein. We're going to do 2 in one stitch, but then we're going to do 1 in each of the following 3. So it's a 2 and a 3 this time, and that will give us 15 stitches, because you will do that 3 times. So here we go. So 2 in that first one, and then 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. That's our first set. Another set, 2 in this first one, and then 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. Last time, 2 in this one, and 1 in each of the next 3. 1, 2 and 3. Now, because I've increased, I really do need to move this stitch marker, because your position will have changed, especially as we work in spiral. So I'll move my stitch marker up. I could have done with a smaller one, really. I now have 15 stitches, and we're going to do the same as we did after the last increase. You're going to have 3 rounds. So we've got 3 rounds of the 15 stitches, but again, because I've got my stitch marker, I'm not going to count. We're just going to go round. Off we go. So as I said, this is 3 rounds of just 15 stitches. Some of you may have already done some of the other Ferrero Rocher ones I did. I think the snowman was my favourite out of them all. So there are other videos on there if you want to have a nosy. I think I've categorised them all together. I will try and make sure they are all in a group. But I don't know to put them under Christmas or Ferrero Rocher covers. I'm not quite sure, because I don't always just do Christmas ones, do I? So that's the first of our 3 rounds. The second of our 3 rounds. Off we go. Because I do want to do some Halloween ones as well. Right, we're almost round for round number 2. So that's number 2. We want 1 more round before, again, we're going to be doing another increase, because it's still not big enough for that chocolate, is it? Off we go. Last round of 15 stitches. If you do need to slow me down at all, don't forget you can do that in the settings. Or if you need to speed me up, you can do that in the settings as well. Or just fast forward. Sort of listen to what I'm saying for that first bit, and then you can get on with it, and then come back to me when I decide the next section. You're almost there, the end of the 3rd round of 15. Oh, it's getting in the way again. I think I'm going to tuck it in a minute because it's annoying me now. Right, so that is the 3 rounds of 15 stitches, and as I've just mentioned, I'm just going to tuck that in there because it keeps getting in my way and I keep picking it up. And again, because this yarn is a little bit hairy, it sort of catches to each other, you know, each side will catch, and then it's even worse. So we got another increase. We're going up to 18 stitches now, and again it's the same system. You're going to do 2 in one and then 1 in the following 4 this time. So obviously it's going up each time because we've got more stitches there. So here we go. We have a 2 in the first one, yeah, and then 1 in each of the next 4. So we have a 1, a 2, a 3 and a 4. That's set number 1. We're going to do 2 in the next one and 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Last set coming. So 2 in this one, 1 and 2, and then 1 in each of the next 4. 1, 2, oh, nearly, 3 and 4. So we now have 18 stitches. So it's time to move the stitch marker again. And yes, well, actually, no, I was going to say, yes, you've guessed it. We are doing double crochet rounds, but we're actually only going to do 2 rounds this time. So 2 rounds of 18 stitches, okay? So just stitch marker to stitch marker if you're doing it that way. Off we go. So we just have 18 stitches and we're going to do 2 rounds of it. And can you see every now and again I do it a little stretch? I just think it's sort of, I don't know, crochet sometimes sort of clogs together. That doesn't make any sense, does it? It just sort of seems to get tight sometimes, and I think it just needs that little stretch, so you know, sort of, and you can see the stitches better as well. It depends on how tight your crochet is, perhaps. I know my crochet is quite tight, so every now and again I just give it a little stretch. Right, so that was our first round of 18. We need our second round of 18. This ball keeps rolling around. Here we go. So this is our second round of 18, and then we have a bit more of an increase. There's not much more to it, to be honest. We're well over halfway. So I think these would be great if you were doing them, as I say, for a school fair, Christmas fair, church fair, wherever you are, or as gifts. But obviously remember, these are Ferrero Rochers that are in here. They do contain nuts. So obviously if you're making them for a group event, you either pop a warning on that they are Ferrero Rocher and they contain nuts, or you might need to definitely look for a different type of chocolate. You could just make them as little hanging ornaments. In fact, when I get to the end of this one, we'll have a look and see what it actually looks like just without the chocolate in it. There we go. So I'm just going to stop there now. So that was 2 rounds of 18. We've got another increased round coming, but I just wanted to sort of pop the chocolate out. And basically, you've just got a little hat. So you could have a little hat hanging, or you could sell the little hat. Or, as I'm sure some of my dolly sort of followers and friends are going to go, oh, I wonder what doll that would fit. I was thinking that myself. I think, to be honest, we might be looking at Barbie, because she does have that slightly smaller head. Obviously, it's not going to fit for Cindy or anything bigger than that. I'm pretty sure that might fit Barbie. So if you want to make a Barbie hat, although it's not for Barbie, you could do. Right, let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing. Let me move my chocolate over there. It's killing me, that chocolate, because I bought a pack of 3 that you can get, so as I wouldn't eat them all. I gave one to my granddaughter, and then I still ate the other one. But I've got to not eat that because I have to use it for demonstration. But I want to eat it. Right, here we go. Increase round again. We're going to have 2 in our first one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is 1 set. We have that times 3. So 2, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is 1 set. Okay, 2 in the next one. And 1 in each of the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Last time, 2 in the first one and 1 in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we now have 21 stitches. The next round isn't going to be a straight round like we've done before. It's going to be our final increase round, and it's going to be 2 in the first one and then 1 in the next 6. So here we go. So 2 and then 6 individual ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 1 set. Second set, 2 in the first one and 1 in each of the next 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Our last set, 2 in this one and then 1 in the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we have done for increasing. That is as wide as it is going to get. We now need 2 rounds of those 24 stitches that we now have. So just 2 rounds of 1 double crochet into each double crochet. Off we go. So it's just 1 in every single stitch. So I've just glanced across at my pattern and I know what I'm going to be doing next, but I've just realised that is as far as I have written on the pattern because I got carried away finishing off this last bit and I've not written it down, but I know what we're doing, so we're okay. So this is just 1 double crochet into each. Almost back to our stitch marker, and then it'll just be 1 more round and we're going to change our colour. Now you don't have to change the colour, of course. You could do it in white as well. I know I've seen some elf hats with the white at the bottom. I do like that the wool is on the floor. Knew it would be. We've only got 1 more round though, haven't we? So last round in green. But yeah, I like that red and green sort of elf look. That's why I went for that. But you can go for any colour elf. You could do lots of different colour ones, especially if they're on your tree. You could theme them to whatever colour Christmas tree you've got. Mine is very traditional, sort of very all sorts. They're sort of very Victorian looking. So it means I can put any colour on my tree, but green and red are a definite. Green, reds and golds and well, anything really, but those are my favourite colours on the tree. So we're almost there for our final green round. I will pick the ball of wool up after we have finished. The cat's not in here, so it's quite safe at the moment. Wool quite often isn't safe if I leave it out. I have to be very organised when I work and make sure there's no wool balls left around, because otherwise she'll run off with them. Right, there we are. That's our green. So I'm going to cut this yarn. Like I say, it's going to fall on the floor now, but it's not in any danger. And we're going to bring in the red. Now the red's a nicer one because this is just an acrylic 4-ply and it's softer. It's easier to work with than the green. But like I say, the green colour is gorgeous, so that is why I did it. Now I know there's lots of different ways of joining. I know I've done a video myself. Right, we're now going to get on with changing this colour. I'm going to take my stitch marker out because I don't need that. So pop it over to one side. I'm just going to not do anything fancy here for the join. I've just pulled the red through, tightened the green up, but that is as exciting as it's going to get. I'm going to do 2 double crochets, which are our first 2 stitches. Yep. And then I'm going to do something more like a spike stitch. Now I'm just trying to find a pin here so I can show you. You would normally for the next stitch go in there, but I want to go up to the next layer, and so I'm going to go in there. You will see it does slightly angle off There's not a lot you can do about that. Because it's spiral, that is how it goes, but it still sits okay. So that would have been the stitch, but I don't want that one. I'm going to go in this one here. So that means the stitch has to be slightly looser, okay? And I'm also going to wrap my yarn. I'm going to go in that higher stitch. I'm going to pull it through. We have 3 on the hook, so it's going to be a half treble, and pull it through. Yeah, we'll do that again. So first of all, we have 2 double crochets. This would be the next stitch. I'll stop again. This should be the next stitch, but I'm going to go for this higher up one. I'm going to wrap my yarn. I'm going to go in the stitch. I'm going to pull it through. Make sure it's loose. Can you see it's nice and loose there? There's 3 on the hook. I'm going to pull through all 3. Okay, so off we go again. 2 double crochets. Spike stitch, so yarn round, not this one but the one higher up, pull it through, make sure it's nice and loose, and pull it through all 3 because it's a half treble. So can you see where we're going? So we need 2 double crochets, yarn round, higher up, pull it through, keep it loose, pull it through all 3. 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, spike stitch, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. You undo this yarn a little bit. Oh, nearly went for the floor. Right, anyway, so we did 2 double crochets. The next one, so yarn round, higher up, remember, for a spike, keep it loose and pull through all 3. 2 double crochets, yarn round, higher up, and spike. Oh, my nose is itching like mad. It's like I want to sneeze, but I'm trying not to sneeze. I don't want to sneeze. Right, and pull it through all 3. We're going to have 2 double crochets. And you can see we're back to the beginning, but I do need this to be a spike stitch because otherwise I've got sort of like a gap. So I'm going to go yarn round, up above, pull it through, and there we go. So now we have the little spiky stitches all the way around. You don't have to do those. You could just do a plain red line if you wished. I just thought it gave it a little bit more detail. We are now going to just do, as you can see on here, there's a little bit more to go, and this is going to be where you are going to have to measure it on your Ferrero Rocher. I'm going to do 1 full round of just 1 double crochet in each stitch. Now I know I need more than 1, but I just want to mention it when I get to that point to show you what I mean. So we're doing 1 round. I'm not using, you can pop your stitch marker back in. I'm not using the stitch marker because you can actually see where the yarn was joined together or where it changed, and that gives you an idea where you started. So I'm going to use that as a sort of a stitch marker. Can you see where it's together there? So this is just 1 round of just 1 double crochet in each double crochet. I'm almost there. I suspect the red is glaring a bit. Red always does. There we are. So we're round. Now, depending on your sort of tension, this is where you need to check. So I just pull it over my little chocolate. And for me, I'm very aware I need another row. Definitely, because I did on my other one. So I know I need another one. You may find you need another 2. You may find you don't need any. It'll come down to your tension there. So I'm going to do another round of just 1 double crochet in each stitch. And we will have another look, and it should be about there for the chocolate then. So I keep looking at the camera and it's weird. I've still not got used to this new phone, that sometimes if it's in different areas it sort of like blurs. There's all these different features on it and I really don't know what to do. I mean, it's definitely clearer than my previous one, so I'm hoping the videos are a lot better for yourselves. But Yeah, there are things, sometimes it looks like it's sort of gone off focus on one point, but then not another. I'm sure there's something probably I'm doing wrong. I'm sure there's some technical thing behind it that I could change. We are almost there. And I'm going to make that the last stitch. I'm going to double check, because I know, I know that's the same as that. So I've got 2 rows of double crochet for mine, but let's just check. We need to make sure this little chocolate fits in. Yes, I'm quite happy with that, because the yarn does stretch after a couple of times, so be careful not to make it too big, because it will become too loose. Slip stitch to finish, just to flatten it off, and snip my yarn, so that yarn can go out of the way too. Now I do have a few ends obviously to sew in, so I'm just going to turn it inside out. This one I'm keeping because I'm going to sew my bell on with that, so don't lose that one. But remember, we had the joining one. Now if you've not already popped a little knot in there, which I didn't, it is a good idea to do so, because it will just fix it into place. You don't want anything coming undone. Now I'm going to be a little bit lazy, because you don't need to see me sew these ends in, but those 3 all need sewing in and getting rid of. But as I say, this one, what I usually do as well, I just give it a little stretch, like I say, and I was stretching that way and then I'm stretching this way. It just shapes it a little bit better. But this one here, I want to come through on the other side, so I'm just threading it up at the moment. I will need a smaller needle though for the bell, I think, and I'm just going to push it through all the way through and turn it back the right side out. Ta-da! There we go. You see, you get more of a point now with that. So that's why I've done this. You can sew the bell on with cotton if you want. I just found this a little bit tougher and solider to do. I don't think this needle's going to go through. Will it go through? Oh, it might. There we go. It has done. It didn't go through the red one. So I'm just going to little fasten, push it through again, because the yarn certainly holds it well in place. And now I'm just going to do a little knot. And say it's up to you how many times you do it, how secure you feel your bell is, but I'm quite happy with that. And then I'm going to pop it on my chocolate. I know, like I say, you should have sewn in the other ends before you got to this point, but never mind. So I've sewn it, popped it on my chocolate, and I'm deciding where it's coming down to. Okay, so I'm like about there possibly, or I want that at the back, don't I? So let's take it about there. I think that's okay. So then I'll just hold it in place, and because I've still got this actually sort of fastened up, I can just sew it into place. So I've gone a little bit into the top one, hope you can see that, and then one more into this one. I'm going to tie a little knot next, take my chocolate out, and then I'm going to push that through, and I will sew all those ends in now at the back. Okay, so make sure you don't catch your bell. Mine's caught in my bell. That's it. Out we go. Be careful you don't catch it in there. So for this second, I'm just going to take that out, and I'm going to shove all the bits in. So you now need to sew all your bits and bobs in there. I quite like the gold bell actually. It gives it a bit different, doesn't it? And I'll push my chocolate in there, and now I have... Oh, did you hear that crunch? That's because I pressed down. The state of these by the time I've done, you know, they're not fit to be giving anyone. So when I've made all these, at Christmas, I will buy a new box. I promise you'll not get my sort of after use. So here we are. We have our little Ferrero Rocher cover. Very quick to make, very simple to do, and as soon as you've made one, obviously then they get faster and faster. I think the only thing you really need is this 4-ply yarn, and if you can get some little bells, you could put a pom-pom on there. I just thought the bell gave it a sort of a nice sort of Christmassy feel, because you've got a little bit of a bell sound there. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. If you do enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe and share. And if you're not sure, have a check, because another lady that follows me that I talked to, because I follow her back, she said that when she went back to watch one of my videos, it says she was unsubscribed, which she wasn't, so she's had to resubscribe. So I don't know if there's something going off in the YouTube world that it's affecting, but she's resubscribed to me anyway. So hopefully you are seeing my videos, and hopefully they're not just disappearing somewhere. So there will be more Christmas to come, but it's a dolly video next, Dolly Crochet. So if you're a smart doll owner, that's what's coming up next. And I will see you all very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.